The following is an update and technical analysis on Airbnb Incorporated, a company of the technology sector, internet content and information here off the daily interval, where I've added this new concealed primary reactionary high downtrend line here, right off the gap of November 2021, cuts right through the top of the gap with well-defined reactionary highs and reactionary lows really across the board here. Cuts through another gap, had an additional back test, reactionary low, rally amongst that level, ended up breaking down, ended up having another clean reaction, had two more reactionary highs, another reactionary high, cuts through another gap here, had multiple 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 days of reactionary lows, have a nice clean consolidation period, put in a nice clean island cluster top, broke down, cuts right through an additional top of the gap there, had another additional reactionary highs right across the board. And again, it's just a pretty key inflection point, and I've added that as my new stop level. We've had a pretty nice snapback and or counter trend rally off that breakdown of the concealed primary hourly interval breakdown there. And now we have come across another clean reactionary high validation right across the board there, where I've added additional short trade setups to my position. And it will also signify the stop loss, where I will begin scaling out on a solid breakout above that primary reactionary concealed downtrend line there. And if we get that nice clean green candle close there, then I will begin issuing a scaling out process of my short trade positions. Now let's take you to an updated chart as to what I see now. And again, I think this concealed trend line has some pretty significant validation, where we have those reactionary lows across the board. I think it's a very significant inflection point, especially validated through those reactionary lows that we got and the gap up and the powerful counter trend and or snapback rally that ensued right after recovering that key inflection point. So again, I'll more than likely begin to adding more to my position on a snap below this concealed uptrend line, in addition to an optimistic view of a more profound downside move. Whereas that 129.08, I've added a top of the gap support there for a 1.8% drop. I've added a new key of Fibonacci retracement levels down to the 236, we'll call it 127.10 price support there for an additional 3.4% drop on a complete backfill of the gap, 125.25 for a 4.8% drop, down to the 382 fibs retracement, call it 122.84 price support for a 6.7% drop, down to 118.94 for a 9.6% crash. I will begin the scaling out process if we snap and break above that primary concealed reactionary high uptrend line once again. And that's exactly what bull traders and or long traders want to see. They want to completely heavily defend this concealed primary reactionary uptrend line. If not, they really need to defend that 129.08 price support, and then absolutely the 236 fibs retracement, because it is the top of gap support. They definitely do not want to see stops being taken out there, force margin calls on a break below not only the 236 fibs retracement, but the top of the gap, which would be increased odds for a backfill of the gap support there. So they want to see this level popped out and start to eke out and burn off these negative and bearish divergences that have just only continued to establish themselves since the beginning of May. And that will be exceedingly bullish and start to squeeze out some of the shorts, including me, out of this position for a prolonged move to the upside. I want to take you out to the largest component of the real estate sector here off the daily interval, whereas we are at a monumental key inflection point off the reactionary highs of April of 2022. Multiple reactionary highs here, and it looks like we're starting to get some sort of significant reactionary high reaction right amongst that trend line. And again, just increases the odds for high correlation to Airbnb if and when short sellers and or sellers heavily defend this primary reactionary downtrend line here, which is a huge basket of real estate components, where I would only see increased odds if rejected, and bull traders and or long traders are not able to take out this key inflection point. I would only suspect Airbnb long traders to have an additional rush for the exits alongside vast components and vast amount of the biggest companies amongst the real estate sector.